Hello guys, so in today's video, I'm going to be teaching you how to complete sentences. So basically in your test, you will be given a sentence and there will be a blank space in the sentence. There will be a missing word and you will have to choose one of the options and decide which word fits the best in the blank, okay? So now there's a whole procedure to that, okay? It's not as easy as it sounds, but it's not even that difficult. It just requires a bit of practice, okay? So there's a whole procedure and I will go through it with you step by step. So let's begin. So you will be required to complete sentences by filling in the missing word. The word you choose must make logical sense in the context of the sentence, right? That means that first you will have to read the sentence and understand the context in which it has been written, and then choose a word that fits logically in the sentence, okay? And we learn how to do that today. So, there's a step-by-step guide here to completing sentences using the correct word. The first step is read the sentence. That goes without saying, right? Whatever question you get, whatever sentence there is in the question, whatever paragraph there is in the question, make sure you read it thoroughly. Read it again and again. If you don't understand it, read it again, okay? Because it's very important for you to understand the question, because otherwise, it's very likely that you will choose the incorrect answer, okay? So read the sentence thoroughly and make sure you understand what it's saying. Okay. Once you understand the context of the sentence, then it's very likely that you will choose the correct answer. Number two, positives and negatives. Decide what kind of a word you're looking for, one with a positive meaning or one with a negative meaning. Look at the general tone of the sentence and see what kind of words are generally being used in this sentence. That will be your biggest indicator as to what kind of word you have to look for. Now, see, every sentence has either a positive meaning or a negative meaning, right? So, for example, if I use the words hate, angry, upset, okay, if I'm using these words in a sentence, right now you don't even know what the sentence is, but you already know that my sentence has a negative meaning, right? Because of the use of such words. Now, similarly, if in a sentence I use the words cheerful, laughter, or whatever, right? So you don't even know what my sentence is, but you already know that my sentence has a positive meaning, right? And why? How do you know that? Because you know that I'm using such words in my sentence. So when you read a sentence, you already know whether the sentence has a positive meaning or a negative meaning, right? Everybody knows that on some level. Everybody knows that whether a sentence has a positive or a negative meaning. So once you decide that, write that next to the sentence, okay? Because that makes it easier for you to look for a word. Because then you know whether you have to look for a positive word or a negative word. And that way you can easily cancel out the other options, right? So whenever you figure out whether a sentence has a positive meaning or a negative meaning, just write that next to the sentence. This is positive, this is negative, okay? So just write that. So that will make it easier for you to choose the correct option. Okay. Then the third step is conjunctions. Now, all of us know what conjunctions are, right? Conjunctions are words that are used to connect clauses within a sentence, right? So look for words like but, rather, although, however, and while, but, therefore. Okay, there are many other conjunctions that you have to look for. These are just a few because they reveal the sentence organization and the hint blank relationship, right? They tell you what kind of words to look for as they change the thought process in the sentence. So, for example, if I see the word but being used in a sentence, okay? So, if, for example, my sentence is, she is kind to others, but dash to her family members. Okay, let me just write that down for you. She is. Now there's a blank space here, right? And you have to choose a word for this space. But what do you know? You know that there is this word over here, but, right? What does that signify? She is kind to her friends, but. That means that now, after the but, you are about to write down an opposing idea, right? An opposing idea, an idea that is opposite to this, an idea that is opposite to kind, right? What is opposite to kind? There's rude. There are many words, but the basic word is rude, right? So she is kind to her friends, but rude to her family members. See, so you have to look out for these words because they tell you where the sentence is going, right? So when you read the word but, you knew that the writer is about to present an opposing idea, which means that the word that will go in the blank will be opposite to kind. Okay, it cannot mean the same as kind, it has to be opposite to kind. Okay, similarly, if instead of the word but we had and, then you would know that the writer is about to present a similar idea, right? Not an opposing idea, a similar idea. In that case, you would choose a word that would be similar to kind. Okay, so you have to look out for these conjunctions because they tell you a lot. They tell you where the sentence is going. They tell you about the organization of the sentence. They tell you about the change in the thought process of the sentence. Okay, and they are very crucial in choosing the correct word. Now, the fourth step is visualize. Before looking at the options, visualize the word that you think should fit in the blank space. Then have a look at the options. One of the options might be the word you visualized or its synonym. If not, go over the options one by one and put each of them in the blank to figure out which one sounds logical and grammatically correct. Now, what this means is that sometimes when we read a sentence, like on the previous slide, I wrote down a sentence for you, and you weren't even given any options, right? There was a blank space, there were no options. But you already knew on some level that the word rude is fitting in there, right? I'm sure most of you knew that. So sometimes what happens is when we read a sentence and we haven't even looked at the options yet, we already know what kind of a word is going to go in the blank space, right? And most often, when we look at the options after that, we'll see that that word or a synonym of that word will be there in the options. Okay, I hope all of you know what a synonym is. A synonym is a word having the same meaning, right? So what I was saying is that once when you sometimes when you read a sentence and you already kind of know what kind of a word fits in the blank, and then you look at the options and you're like, oh, this word is right here, or a synonym of this word is right here. In that case, you're lucky, right? Because you already visualized the kind of word that has to go in the blank space, right? So in that case, you quickly choose the correct option and you move on. So that's great. But in case you don't know that, right? So you read a sentence and you have no idea what kind of a word is supposed to fit in there. That's fine too, because that happens too, okay? If that happens, go over the options one by one and put each of them in the blank to figure out which one sounds logical and grammatically correct. That's all you have to do, right? So if you don't know which option goes there, just put in the options one by one and see which one sounds correct, which one sounds logical, and then that way you can choose the correct answer. The fifth step is elimination. Eliminate the options you know for sure are wrong. Okay, so this again brings us back to this the positives and negatives step, right? So once you decide that a sentence, whether a sentence is positive or negative, you can cancel out the other options, right? For example, if a sentence is positive, you know you are looking for a positive word, cancel out negative options. Okay, similarly, if there is a negative sentence, you know you have to look for a negative word, so you cancel out the positive options. Okay, so that is the process of elimination. Secondly, let's go back to step number 4, visualization. So I just told you that sometimes you visualize the word, and okay, supposing you have visualized the word, okay, and you look at the options and there are two words that are fitting in there. Now you're confused. You're like, oh no, I visualized the word, but Now, I think there are two options that are fitting in there, and I cannot narrow it down to one option. What do you do then? You put the words in one by one, okay? And the word you know for sure that is sounding wrong, you eliminate that and you choose the other one, okay? But it is important to know, do not rule out choices if you don't know their meanings and unless you are sure they do not work. If you have doubts, leave and return after checking the other choices. Now, if I'm being honest with you, the questions that require you to complete sentences are a bit difficult. Okay, I feel like they're the most difficult part of the test because sometimes the options have some really difficult words in them. All right, and none of us have ever heard of those words, and we've never come across those words. Like even I, when I was going through the IBA test papers, the past papers. I came across a lot of words that I haven't heard before, right? And sometimes you just sort of have to take a guess, okay? That's something you just have to do. You're not gonna know the right answer all the time, okay? But most of the time, you have to try and be correct, okay? And how is that going to happen? You're going to use your common sense to decide whether a word is fitting in a sentence or not, okay? If you absolutely do not know, if you don't know the meaning of a word, just leave the question at that point and then just return after taking the other options, okay? As in, after attempting the other questions, just return to that question and then attempt it again. So my point is, do not eliminate any options that you are not sure about, okay? Only eliminate those options that you are absolutely sure about, that you know for sure that these are wrong, okay? Don't eliminate the options that you are doubtful about because they may be the right option, okay? One of the options may be the ones that you have canceled out and then you're gonna, you'll be in a fix. So let's just do some examples and yeah, maybe it'll become easier for you once we do some examples. Okay, let's have a look at this question. Neem has dash qualities, and in many clinical trials, doctors have saved countless lives by using raw neem leaves on serious wounds. Now, if you haven't understood the question, I suggest you to read it again and again and again until you understand it. Okay, now what is this question trying to tell us? It is trying to tell us it is trying to highlight the good qualities of neem leaves, right? Because, see, neem has dash qualities, and in many clinical trials, doctors have saved countless lives by using raw neem leaves on serious wounds. Okay, so we know that this sentence is talking about the good qualities, about the healing qualities of neem. Okay, and what kind of a sentence is this? Is this positive or negative? It's definitely positive, right? Because it's talking about the healing qualities of neem. Okay, how do we know that it's talking about the healing qualities of neem? Because of the word choice in the sentence, right? Saved countless lives on serious wounds. Okay, these words are very crucial because they help us understand what kind of a word we're looking for. Okay, so what kind of qualities are we looking for? We're looking for healing qualities, anything that has a positive meaning. Okay, so let's go over the options one by one. Option A is remedial. Remedial definitely fits because it means healing. Okay, the word remedial means something that can heal. So option A fits. Option B does not fit because we're not talking about flavor over here. Okay, now these three words, inferior, doubtful, and notorious, they have a negative meaning. Okay, so we're gonna cancel these options out right away. Okay, because we're looking for a positive word. And the only positive word that fits over here is remedial. So our correct answer is option A. Okay, let's read this explanation. We need a positive word with a life-saving like meaning. Options C, D, and E are negative and therefore ruled out. You may not know the meaning of remedial, but you know that flavoring doesn't mean life-saving. Therefore, the answer is remedial. Okay. So you see, first we used the method of positives and negatives. First we decided, according to this explanation, the one that is written over here, first we decided whether a sentence is positive or negative. And that we decided that it is positive and we are looking for a positive option. Now we looked at option C, D, and E and we were like, oh no, these are negative options. So we have to cancel these out, okay? So we used the process of elimination over here and we eliminated option C, D, and E. Now we're left with option A and B. Now, again, we are using the process of elimination in the case that you don't know what remedial means, okay? Because I'm sure some of you might not know what this means, and that's fine. If you guys don't know what remedial means, you will use the process of elimination because, of course, I'm sure all of you know what flavoring means, right? And flavoring definitely does not fit over here. So it's definitely remedial, okay? So we use the process of elimination also over here. And let's do another example after this. Okay, the second example is the much hated bill sparked off a wave of public dash which could not be dashed by the concessions the British announced. Okay, so this is another type of question that comes in the test. This is a part of completing sentences, but you see there are two blanks over here, right? And that happens too. Like sometimes you are given one blank, sometimes you are given two blanks. Okay, and you have to choose an option that satisfies both the blanks. Okay, so let's see. The much hated bill sparked off a wave of public dash, which could not be dashed by the concessions the British announced. Okay. So let's look at the word choice, much hated. What does this tell us? This tells us that this is a negative sentence, and therefore we are looking for negative options. Okay, at least for the first one we are looking for a negative option. Okay, which could not be dashed by the concessions the British announced. Okay, so now that we know that for the first blank we are looking for a negative option, let's use the process of elimination and eliminate the words, the options that have a positive word for the first blank. Okay, so enthusiasm, definitely positive, cancelled. Clamor, now you don't really know what clamor means, so let's leave that. Okay, curiosity, not really fitting. Adoration means when something is liked, not fitting. Okay, so as you can see, just by sort of understanding, just by realizing what kind of a sentence this is, positive or negative, we have already eliminated three options, right? So now we only have two options left, B and E. Now let's see. For the first blank, we need to choose a word that is similar to the word hate, okay? Because the much hated bill sparked off a wave of public dash. Now, this dash should be something that resembles the word hate, right? And let's see. So, the options we have left are clamor, this one, and discontent. Discontent clearly means hate, right? Discontent means unhappiness, so it's similar to hate. And let's put it back in the blank and see if it fits. The much hated bill sparked off a wave of public discontent. It makes perfect sense, right? It means that the bill was so widely hated that there was a wave of public discontent, meaning public unhappiness. So this definitely fits, which could not be abated by the concessions the British announced. So this option definitely fits, and our answer is E. Now let's read this explanation. Much hated indicates that a negative word must be chosen for the first blank, such as anger or protest. The only negative choice for the first blank is discontent. The second one needs harder thinking. Even the British concessions did not lessen the public anger. A synonym of lessen is abate. If you didn't know that, having a clear choice for the first blank should have helped. Therefore, the answer is discontent abated. See, so the thing is that even if you did not know the meaning of abated, you knew what discontent is, right? So, and if that is fitting, then definitely, and that is the only option that is fitting, right? B was not fitting. We cancel out B as well. So, if you know that discontent is fitting, and if you know that that's the only option that is actually fitting for the first blank, then that is the correct answer because this one will also fit in the second blank, okay? Okay, now in these sentence completion questions, you will come across three different types of sentences. Okay, now the first type of sentence is restatement or comparison. What does restatement mean? Restatement means when something is stated and you restate it, right? Which means you state it again. Now, see, this sentence will contain words that connect similar ideas. Okay, for example, okay, let's look at the words that are used in these type of sentences, in restatement or comparison sentences. Similarly, likewise, in addition to, furthermore, moreover, also, in other words, namely, and in fact, that is, besides, therefore, for, indeed, truly, as. Now look, what are these words doing? They're helping you restate an idea, okay? For example, let's read this example. The letter she wrote to me was brief. Similarly, my reply was. Now, because of the word similarly, you know that the word that has to come in here has to be similar in meaning to the word brief, right? What does brief mean? It means short. So she's basically saying that the letter she wrote to me was brief, which means short. Similarly, my reply was. So we'll look at the options. We haven't been given options over here because this is just an example. But you already know that the word that will fit in here will be similar to the word brief or short, right? And what is this? This is the method of visualization. We have already visualized what kind of a word will fit in over here. And then once we look at the options and we find that word or a synonym of that word, then we're lucky, right? We can just choose that option and move on. So the answer should be a word that is similar in meaning to brief, which could be hurried, cursory, or short. All of these words mean brief or short. Okay, so that's why, so this is a restatement sentence, right? Why? Because it's restating or comparing. Now, let me just explain something to you. So comparing and compare and contrast. Now, these are two different things. Some of you might know the difference between them, some of you might not, but let me just tell you. So, comparing is when you point out similarities between whatever you are comparing, and contrast means to point out differences between whatever you are comparing, contrasting. Okay, so these are two different things and you should know the meaning of both of these. Okay, so compare, when I compare two things, for example, if I compare myself to my friend, that means that I'm trying to point out the similarities between my friend and I. Okay, and if I'm contrasting two different things, that means that I'm trying to point out the differences between the two things. Okay, now restatement or comparison, they come in the same category. Okay, restatement means that you are building on an idea that has already been stated in a sentence, right? So, for example, if I say Sarah is very obedient, additionally, she respects her elders. Okay, so what did I do over here? I used the word additionally, which should be listed in this list. No, it's not. Okay, but additionally also is one of the words that are used in this type of a sentence, restatement or comparison. Okay, so what did I say? My sentence was Sarah is very obedient. Additionally, she respects her elders. So what did I do? I restated an idea, right? The idea was that Sarah is a good girl. She's a very obedient and respectful girl. And I basically just restated that by using the word additionally. Now, comparison is also pretty much the same thing when you're restating something, right? Why? Because you are pointing out similarities. So over here, this example sentence that we read, the letter she wrote to me was brief. Similarly, my reply was dash. So it's comparing the letter and the reply, right? It's comparing the letter and the reply, which means it is pointing out the similarity between the letter and the reply. What was the similarity? The similarity was that both of them were brief or short. Okay, I hope this is not too confusing for you. If it is, please just rewind and listen to this again. It's actually pretty straightforward. Okay, so that's restatement and comparison. Now let's go on to the second one, which is contrast. Okay, now contrast is the opposite of compare. What is contrast? Contrast is when you point out the differences between something. Now, the sentence will contain words that connect opposite ideas, okay? Such as, now these are the words that are used in these sentences, okay, in contrasting sentences. However, although, on the other hand, in contrast, while, but, whereas, instead, though, despite, yet, on the contrary, regardless, rather than, except. So, for example, Although Susan is generally short with people, her twin sister Hannah is dash. Now, we haven't been given options for this sentence, but I'm sure because of the word although, I'm sure all of you know that the word that will come in here will be opposite in meaning to this one, right? What does the word short mean? It means that when someone is rude to you, you say that they're being short with me, okay? So short means rude. So you know that in this blank, the word that will fit the best will be opposite in meaning to short, right? And what is opposite to rude? There's kind, there's polite, and there are many others, but these are just two of them, right? So how did you know that? You knew that because of the word although. Okay, so although Susan is generally short with people, her twin sister Hannah is, I will write the word polite. Okay, the answer should be a word that is opposite in meaning to short, which could be kind, polite, or civil. Okay, so that's a contrasting sentence. A contrasting sentence is a sentence that will contain words that connect opposite ideas, and that is what is happening here. So two people, two sisters, twin sisters are being contrasted. Susan and Hannah are being contrasted, and so it's being said that Susan is generally rude to people, but Hannah is usually polite. Okay, so what is this? It's a contrasting sentence. Okay, now the third type of sentence is cause and effect. What is cause and effect? Cause and effect is when a sentence is telling you the effect of something that happened. Okay, so this sentence will indicate that one event causes another to occur, right? So, for example, if I say that I broke the glass, therefore I got scolded. Now, what happened over here? What happened is that I talked about one event, which was I broke the glass, and then I talked about its effect, which was I got scolded. Which word did I use in the middle? I used therefore. Okay, I broke the glass, therefore I got scolded. So this is a cause and effect sentence. Okay, now, so it's pretty straightforward, right? This sentence will indicate that one event causes another to occur. Okay, these words will be used in a cause and effect sentence. Thus, therefore, hence, consequently, because, due to, as a result, leads to, accordingly, if then. Okay, an example of this is Annie's sister completely destroyed her sand castle. As a result, Annie was dash. Now, when you read the sentence, you already kind of know that the sentence has a negative meaning, right? Because obviously something bad has happened. Okay, this event is a negative event, right? Something bad has happened. So Annie's sister completely destroyed her sandcastle. As a result, Annie was dashed. Now, Annie can't be happy about this, right? Clearly, Annie must be sad, she must be upset, she must be angry, she must be devastated. So, you know that we are looking for a negative word over here, okay? And how do we know that? We know that because we've been given an event over here, and then we've been given these words as a result, which means now this is the effect. Okay, the phrase that will follow the words as a result will be the effect of this event. So Annie's sister destroyed her sandcastle. As a result, Annie was um, upset. Okay, the answer should be a word that represents the effect of the event occurring in the sentence, which could be angry, displeased, or furious. Okay, there are many other synonyms for these words, but these are just a few. So you get what I'm saying, right? So in a cause and effect sentence, you know that a sentence, you will immediately recognize a cause and effect sentence, right? Because you will know that, oh, an event is happening, and then the effect of the event is being talked about. Okay, in fact, all of these sentences are very easy to identify. Okay, they're not difficult. You just have to be careful of these. Sorry, you just have to pay attention to these words. You know, these words that I've listed for you over here. Just pay attention to them, see if they're being used in a sentence, and you'll be good to go. You will easily identify what type of a sentence it is, and then what type of a word you will have to look for to complete the sentence. Okay, let's look at some practice questions. So these practice questions are all part of the worksheets that will be linked down below in the description box. So please make sure you, after watching this video, you go and attempt the questions and you check your answers. Now, let me just warn you that as like I mentioned before, these types of questions, completing sentences, they're very difficult, okay? Because the options you've been given mostly are very, very difficult, and most of the time you will not know what the words mean, okay? But that's okay, just stay calm, just use the process of elimination and just do your best, okay? So let's look at question number one. The movie offended many of the parents of its younger viewers by including unnecessary dash in the dialogues. Now, it's a negative sentence, right? I hope all of you know that because offended younger viewers by including unnecessary dash in the dialogues, right? So clearly we're talking about something negative that has happened, okay? And because of the word younger viewers, we know that we're talking about something bad that was included in the movie, right? And what do we protect younger people from? We protect them from vulgarity, right? And that is one of the options over here. So the movie offended many of the parents of its younger viewers by including unnecessary vulgarity in the dialogue. Okay, so our answer for this is A. Now, in all honesty, I don't even know what options B, C, D, and E mean. Okay, and I'm sure you don't either. But if you know, as long as you know that option, what option A means, and as long as you know that it fits well, that's fine. You can just choose it and move on. Okay, so I'm just telling you that it's completely okay to not know the meanings of some words or to not know the meanings of most of the words, but that's fine. As long as you have visualized in your mind what kind of a word has to fit in there, you will be able to choose the correct option. Okay? Let's look at question number two. His neighbors found his dash manner bossy and irritating, and they stopped inviting him to backyard barbecues. Clearly, this is a negative sentence because it's talking about someone's bad qualities, right? Someone's irritating qualities. And how do we know that? Bossy, irritating, and they stopped inviting him to backyard barbecues. So we're looking for a negative word over here. So how about first we cancel the positive options because that will help us choose the correct answer, okay? That will narrow down the options for us. So as you can see, if you read the options once, you will see that options C, D, and E are positive in meaning, okay? Modest, restorative, reparative. Now, modest means someone who is very modest and decent and humble and down to earth. So that's modest, right? Restorative means someone who is able to, restorative and reparatory both are similar in meaning. They both mean someone who is able to repair things or restore things or make things better. So all of these options, C, D, and E, have positive meanings. So let's just cancel them out. Okay, we've eliminated them. Now we have A and B. Now I know that option A means insentient. The word insentient means that when someone is incapable of feeling something or incapable of experiencing emotions, they are called insentient. Okay. Now that clearly is not fitting over here. Magisterial, even though I might not know what it means, although I do know what it means. Magisterial means someone who tries to be very authoritative, someone who tries to be very bossy, right? So this word is clearly fitting over here. But in case you do not know what magisterial means, you know that option A is not fitting, okay? So you will choose option B. So look, over in these types of questions, you do have to do a bit of guessing, okay? And you'll be like, oh, if I don't know the meaning of options A and B, then what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to choose an option? You kind of just have to go with your gut in that case, and you have to choose an option that you think is correct or that sounds correct, okay? That's why I say that these questions are difficult, and it will require you to do a bit of practice to answer these questions correctly. Okay, so let's look at question number three. Stephen is always dash about showing up for work because he feels that tardiness is a sign of irresponsibility. Okay, so now this sentence has a positive meaning. Okay, because it's talking about someone's good qualities. It's talking about Stephen's good qualities, right? It's basically uh, telling you that Steven always shows up to work early because he feels that tardiness basically means when someone is late, right? But even if you don't know what the word tardiness means, you know that, look, let's read the rest of the sentence, is a sign of irresponsibility. So, you know, whatever tardiness means, Stephen does not want to be irresponsible, right? So, Stephen is trying his best not to be irresponsible, which is why, so the word that we're going to choose for this is going to be positive, right? And it's going to be something related to either punctual, someone who's always on time, someone who's responsible. It will either be these words or synonyms of these words, right? We already know that. So look, let's see what the options are: legible, tolerable, punctual, literal, and belligerent. Now, punctual, we already have this word over here, right? We already visualized it. Okay, and that makes it so easy for us to just choose the right option and move on, right? We don't even need to pay attention to the other options because we know this one is fitting perfectly. Okay, so the answer for this is option C. Okay, now let's look at these examples. Question number 8 is, I had the dash experience of sitting next to an over-talkative passenger on my flight home from Brussels. Let's look at the word choice in this sentence, over-talkative passenger. Now, do any of us like sitting next to over-talkative people? I don't think anyone does, right? So sitting next to an over-talkative person is always a negative experience, isn't it? So whatever word will fit in over here, it will have a negative meaning, clearly, because I had the dash experience, so it has to be a negative experience. Okay, so we already know that the sentence has a negative meaning, and the word that will go in this blank will be negative. Now let's see. Now this word will either be similar to annoying, unpleasant, any negative word that means unpleasant, right? Bad experience, unpleasant experience, or annoying experience. That will fit in best over here. So let's look at the options. Option A is satisfactory. It's positive, so we cancel it out. Okay, commendable is also a positive word. We will cancel it out. Galling, you don't know what galling means. In all honesty, I don't know what galling means. Okay, so let's leave that as it is. Acceptable is a positive word, so let's cancel that out. Acute is it's a negative word, but what it means is it means severe. Okay, and does the word severe fit in over here? I had the severe experience of sitting next to an over talkative passenger. It does not, right? It's a negative word, but the meaning of the word is not fitting in this sentence. So what are we going to choose? We're going to choose option number C, which is actually the correct answer because galling means annoying. Okay, anything that is annoying or irritating is galling. So our correct answer is C. Let's look at question 9. After making dash remarks to the president, the reporter was not invited to return to the White House press room. Okay, now what is happening over here? The reporter was not invited to return to the White House press room. So clearly, the reporter did something horrible that caused him to not be invited in the future, right? So, what is this? It's a negative sentence. The word we are looking for over here will also be negative, right? So, he made some sort of negative remarks to the president, which is why he was not invited to return to the White House press room. Okay, so the word we are looking for will have a negative meaning. Let's see. Hospitable is a positive word, so wrong. Okay, now option number B, I don't know what it means. Okay, so let's leave that as it is. Enterprising is a positive word. We'll cancel that. Chivalrous is a positive word. We will cancel that. Irreverent. Now, irreverent, I know that it means disrespectful. Okay, I know that irreverent means disrespectful. And does the word disrespectful fit in over here after making disrespectful remarks to the president? Yes, it does, right? Which means that the word irreverent fits in over here. So our correct option is E. Okay, question number 13 is Mary became dash at typing because she practiced every day for 6 months. Okay, now what is the sentence telling us? The sentence is, by the way, I hope you realize that this is a restatement sentence. Okay, it's a restatement sentence because it is what is it doing? It's basically telling you a word over here that you don't know, and then it's telling you why, right? It's telling you why she became like this. It's because she practiced every day for 6 months. And what do we do when we practice anything every day for 6 months? What do? We become good at it. right? We become proficient at it. What does the word proficient mean? It means skilled. Okay, so we become skilled at it. So the word we are looking for here has to be positive. Okay, Mary became skilled at typing, or Mary became proficient at typing. So the word we want is right here, right? So we're immediately going to choose this option because that is the one that fits. Okay. And if you look at the rest of the words, they aren't really matching because, see, reflective, it's not really matching. It's not really going in the sentence. Dormant is not really going. Redundant is not really going. Valiant means brave. It's not really going. So it's option number A. Let's look at question 14. Juan's friends found him in a dash mood after he learned he would be homecoming king. Okay, so mood after he learned he would be homecoming king. Now we don't know what Juan's mood is, but we know that he's becoming homecoming king. And we can guess that he would be happy, right? Or he would be excited, or he would be thrilled. Okay, so the word we are looking for over here has to have a positive meaning. Let's see. Jovial. Now I know that jovial means happy, okay? It means cheerful, it means happy, and it has a positive meaning. It's fitting perfectly. So my answer is A. But let's look at the other options as well. Stealthy. I don't know what stealthy means, okay? So I'll let that be. Paltry. I don't know what paltry means, so I'll leave that be. Gullible. Gullible means when someone believes something very easily. So that is not fitting over here. Okay, so I cancelled option D. Depleted. Depleted means when something depletes, when it decreases in number. Okay, so that is absolutely not fitting over here. Now look, in these options, I'm left with A, B, and C, right? Now I know that A means cheerful, it means happy, it has a positive meaning, and it's fitting, right? So I don't even need to worry about these two. I don't even need to worry about what these two words mean. I already know that option A is correct because it's fitting. So the answer for this is option A. Okay, so this is our last example. Every evening at the restaurant, the reporter would eavesdrop on the mayor's conversations in order to dash any information that could make headlines. Okay, so what are we looking for? We are looking for a negative word, right? Because of the word eavesdrop. So someone is eavesdropping on someone else's conversation to see if he can get some information that can make the headlines, right? So this is sort of a negative sentence, and the word we will look for has to be negative, right? And what kind of a word are we looking for? We're looking for a word that means extract, right? The reporter is trying to extract information from the mayor's conversations. He's trying to sort of take away some information that that can make the headlines, right? So we already know what type of a word we're looking for. So let's look at our options. Option number one is ignore. All of us know what ignore means. It's not fitting over here. Glean. I don't know what glean means, so let's leave that as it is. Extol. Extol means to praise, okay? So it has a positive meaning, and clearly the meaning is also not fitting, so wrong. Extend. Extend does not fit in over here because all of us know what extend means. Extend means to expand, right? So incorrect. Narrate. Narrate means to narrate a story or to tell a story. So is that fitting over here? I don't think so. So what are we left with? We are left with option number B. Now, even though I don't know what option number B means, okay, I cancelled out the other options using the process of elimination, and therefore I was left with option number B, and B is the correct answer. So guys, please make sure after watching this video, you go and practice the worksheets that I've made for you. And for many of the questions, you will not know what the words mean, okay? But just use the method of visualization and the process of elimination to eliminate some options and to choose the right answer, okay? And I don't know if it's already clear to you or not, but you will have to work on your vocabulary, okay? All of you will have to work on your vocabulary by sort of maybe reading more, okay, read more newspapers, practice more questions, because that will help you learn new words. And that way, if you come across a new word in your admission test, you might know what it means, okay? So I'm also going to upload a post on my Instagram, on our Instagram account. I'm going to post a reel or a post telling you how to improve your vocabulary. Okay, so stay tuned for that. And in the meantime, it's always a good idea to read more. So I recommend you to read more newspapers because newspaper articles, they usually use very good words. Okay, they use good vocabulary, so try and read that. And yeah, there are many other ways by which you can improve your vocabulary, and I will talk about that in one of my posts, in one of my upcoming posts. Okay, so stay tuned for that, and I will see you in the next video.